Okay, I'm from Scotland and I don't own a kilt, but I used to. Anyway, so I was inspired by the previous introductions. Also, hands up, who here was born in the 90s? Quick show of hands. Okay, so far so good. Who here was born in the 80s? Okay, who was born before the 80s? Possibly you, sir. Okay. I mean, just a wild guess. Anyway, guys, buckle up because it's time for a quick history lesson. We're going to deal with a different holy trinity, which is piracy, pornography, and practical jokes. Okay, because way, way, way back in a magical land called the 80s, which you may have seen through Stranger Things, but trust me, the Upside Down is totally fictional. Anyway, so we would load computer games off audio cassette. Oh yes. And so it would take ages, yes. There'd be strange screeching noises which were not the cat. They were actually the computer game. And, you know, we explained this to my mother that the best Christmas present she could get us was a twin tape deck. And because, Mother, this will save us money. She's like, how will this save us money? Well, simple. You buy me a big jumbo pack of blank cassettes. I borrow computer games from my dear friends, and we copy from tape to tape. And we felt like sort of total hackers. It's like, yeah. You know, our boombox makes strange noises for 20 minutes, and we've got the game of ourselves. Yeah. So almost all of our games were, yes, with hastily written scribbled names on them. But, you know, that was the way. That was economy. That was piracy. Okay, moving on. So, still, fast forward to the 90s. The internet had its strange screaming birth, but as a student in the university in 1995, you know, most people didn't have internet at home. In fact, most people didn't even have computers in their home. And so, you know, you might, if you were lucky, have a computer in your flat, but no internet for you. So you would have to go to a public computer lab, and, you know, if you want to take anything home, floppy disks, oh yes, you could get 1.44 megabytes of data on those suckers. Once again, you felt like the hacker prince having one of these in your pocket, or several. And similarly, well, as our previous comic alluded to, you know, if you wish to access adult material, well, you jolly well have to stick that on a floppy and then take that puppy home, you would think. But at least one time, me and my dear friend, we were just for innocent purposes in a computer lab. But then we noticed there was a guy over in the corner, and at first we thought, okay, this guy seems a little hunched, so maybe he has some kind of disorder. He didn't have a disorder. The only disorder was a lack of modesty. But periodically, we would see his hand appear up above the keyboard, click, 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 and then back below the keyboard. It's like, oh shit. Yes, thank you. No prizes for guessing precisely what this gentleman was doing. And I mean, I think I was actually there to do an assignment with me because I didn't have Microsoft Word at home, the very idea. So I printed off my essay and went home. My friend was there for a couple more hours, and this guy was some kind of marathon man. He was still going at it for a couple of hours. It wasn't until the guy actually got up and left, my friend suddenly went into moral crusader mode, bless him. And he was like, right, that's it. You know, goes after him and confronts him in the car park and he says, I saw what you were doing. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I saw you work, it's disgusting. And if you do it again, I'm going to give you a doing. And the guy was like, ah! Ran over the hills and farming. Good for him. Anyway, but then subsequently, you know, that wasn't our only visit to the public computer labs. In fact, wait for it, I got myself what's known as a zip drive. Trust me, you'll have to Google it. It allowed you to carry 100 megabytes of data on one large, noisy drive. But anyway, the point is, I could get whole computer games onto this. So I went, because I wanted to get that brand new computer game, Grand Theft Auto 1. Exactly, it was so new and I was so excited. But in those days, there was no BitTorrent, any of that. So you'd have to go to a pirate site. And who's going to sponsor a pirate but a pornographer? So all the banner ads would be like saucy-ass stuff, pardon my French. And there am I, innocently trying to commit piracy. But then, some girl next to me looks over at my screen, sees the banners, and then she looks me up and down with total disgust in her face. And at that point, I want to shout at her, Madam, I am trying to commit piracy here. There is no pornographic urges. But I didn't. But in my heart of hearts, I felt a moral indignation. It's like, I'm trying to defraud major corporations. I'm not trying to self-pleasure. Anyway, want to make that crystal clear. Anyway, a while later, yes, my mother was kind enough to spring for a laptop for me. Oh yes, it had an 800 megabyte hard drive, yeah, and a floppy drive. And so, one time, my older brother and I lived in Edinburgh, I went home to my mother's place for a nice Sunday lunch, came back, and my little brother needed help because he didn't have Microsoft Word at home. In fact, I had a pirated copy of Word 97. Yes. And so, immediately, without a word, I sort of handed over my trusty laptop and the power cable to my older and younger brother. It's like, don't worry, you'll take care of that assignment. And then, 1 minute after the door closed, my flatmate started giggling. And I was like, what's gotten into you guys? And it's like, your brother just borrowed your laptop. It's like, yes. It turned out, my dear sweet flatmates, they had thought to prank me by changing the background on my desktop to something, well, featuring a gentleman that could Halloween dress as a petrol pump. And they hadn't told me. They thought I would turn on my laptop and go, woo, and that's it. But then, of course, 30 minutes later, I get a rather surprised phone call from my older brother going, Andrew, we just turned on your laptop. We're kind of surprised by your desktop wallpaper. It was my flatmate. Who's going to believe that? Thank you guys, you've been wonderful.
Andrew Ferenbach.